Americanism is dead, and it's not coming back because the forces arrayed against it are too powerful, frankly. There are too many people who are getting too many benefits from the destruction of Americanism to want to dial it back. I'm talking specifically of all these grievance culture people, the ethnic minorities that want a bigger share of the pie, irrespective of the work that they put into it to get that piece of the pie. Yeah, they all want more. They all want more, and they are getting more. And so they have no incentive to change back the system to something that's truly fair, that's truly equitable. What do I mean by Americanism? Well, you see, in the United States, for the longest time, I mean, all of the 19th century and most of the 20th for that matter, there was this notion that people in the United States could do anything that they wanted to with their lives. All they needed was the will to decide to be something, whatsoever that was. And all you needed was effort, strength of character, determination, and most important of all, hard work to achieve that goal, whatsoever that goal might happen to be. You know, the comic strip Superman, he was fighting for truth, justice, and the American way. What did that mean? Because at the time, when the Superman character originated back in 1939, the American way was very clear. It was this notion that a person, by working hard, could achieve material prosperity, no matter how humble his origins, no matter how lowly his background. And on the flip side, of course, there was a notion that if you inherited things, money, whatnot, there was no guarantee that you would keep it. The only guarantee that you would keep what you had and build upon it was the notion that you had to work for it, work hard, and your labor would be rewarded. But this notion is gone nowadays. I mean, nobody sensible thinks to themselves, oh yeah, if I work really hard, I'm going to achieve everything that I want to. Nobody says that nowadays because nobody believes it. Because we're in a culture where every problem that you have is not because of you, not because of your failings, your deficiencies. Oh, no, 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 no. It's a disorder. Yeah, it's a disorder. Woohoo! You have this disorder that doesn't allow you to achieve the things that in previous times you would have achieved by hard work, by effort, by exertion. Now it's all a disorder. Smirk. Yeah, because if your failings are all the result of a disorder, then you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to accept the responsibility of your failure. You can just slough it off and say, oh, it's because of my disorder. You know, I'm not getting good grades, my ADHD. I'm not succeeding in life, oh, it's racism, sexism, blah, blah, blah. You know, I didn't get the promotion, I didn't get this or that, I'm a fat fuck who weighs about 500 pounds. Oh, it's my disorder, don't you know? My disorder is the reason, not me. Oh, no, 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 my disorder. This disorder movement that originated, well, you can say that it originated in the, I don't know, the 30s, the 40s with Freudian psychoanalysis and shit like that. It really caught on during the 80s and 90s. I mean, I was there. I was a teenager and a young 20-something in the 80s and 90s. And I remember how all of a sudden people's flaws, what people used to call flaws and failures and deficiencies, they were all reclassified as disorders, and people were unburdened from that responsibility. But precisely because they were unburdened from the responsibility of their deficiencies and their defects, precisely because of it, it stripped away the notion that you could achieve something by strength of character, by working hard. It stripped away Americanism. People in America no longer believe in Americanism. Yeah, I'm using the term Americanism like communism or fascism or capitalism because it is an ideology. And it is an ideology that is a little bit divorced from reality, like all ideologies are. Because the fact of the matter is, it is not always the case that hard work and industry gets you things that you want. Sometimes your ambitions are too great. Or sometimes, just bad luck. Or sometimes no matter how hard you work at something, you're just not going to achieve it. That's the hard fact of life. But Americanism as an ideology glossed over this. Americanism as an ideology taught people that they could achieve anything and all they had to do was work hard enough. And this was the driving motivation of people. It's the reason the United States as a country grew so much during the 19th century and the 20th century. It's why so many people wanted to go there. Because you have to understand, in the 19th century and the early 20th century, the United States was not a hugely successful country. On the contrary, it was a bit of a backwater. Yeah, I mean, people in the 19th century, most especially, and the early 20th century, they didn't look at the United States as this shining beacon on the hill. No, they looked at it a little bit like a wasteland. But, and this was the key issue, it had this notion, Americanism, that you could go there and be whomever you wanted to be. And this was exceedingly attractive to so many people. Yeah, people in the 19th century or early 20th century, principally from Europe, who were escaping class issues, social stratification, the rigidity of the society. They were escaping all those constraints on the kind of person that they could become by moving to the United States. Moving to the United States and going to the land of the free, the home of the brave, the place where you could achieve whatever you wanted. You could be whomever you wanted, so long as you put in the hard work. And that's why so many Europeans, Italians, Ukrainians, Swedes, Norwegians, Germans, they all flooded America because they were escaping not poverty, not starvation, excepting the Irish, of course. No, they were escaping the rigidity of European society. They were escaping that rigidity and going towards freedom, open plains. Yes, a backwater, but a backwater where you could be anything. But now you can't. No, because on the one hand you have your disorders, and on the other hand what you have going on is that people no longer believe that hard work will achieve anything, because the fact of the matter is that it doesn't. We see it all the time. We see how our society, in the name of equity, in the name of equality, ironically enough, is creating incredibly unequal and unfair situations where people are actively discriminated against because of their belonging to this group or that other group that is not the preferred racial or ethnic group. Yeah, it flies right in the face of Americanism. It's like a dagger through the heart of Americanism. The country is geared towards favoring those based on their skin color and their ethnicity as opposed to their hard work. A lot of people ask me sometimes, why are young guys so dispirited? And I think that part of the reason is because of this, because Americanism is dead in the United States, and it's been replaced by this equity culture, which is bullshit. And because of it, a lot of guys realize that they're never going to get ahead. Remember that guy a couple of years ago who stole that airplane? He was like some mechanic, right? He just decided, his life was shit. He'd gotten divorced, things were like crap in his life, and he just decided to steal a plane. He flew it around for a few hours. He did a loop-the-loop. Yeah?
Well, I tried to figure out how to use the autopilot first.
On Roger, taxi spot 88 via Bravo, County France.
88 and over ramp at 2057. Not concentrate so much on flying the airplane.
Hey, you think if I land this successfully, Labs will give me a job as a pilot?
I think they would give you a job of doing anything if you could pull this off.
Yeah, right. Nah, I'm a white guy.
It's 319 170 better to a 5-mile final contact point down now.
For a few hours. He did a loop-the-loop. Yeah? And eventually crashed. Yeah, on purpose. I mean, it was a suicide. Let's face facts, right? But he had a great time before he killed himself. And during that flight, when he was truly free, and perhaps free for the first time in his life, or if not the first time in his life, the first time in a long goddamn time, right? He was flying off in his plane and doing his little pirouettes, and he was talking to some air traffic controller who was, of course, terrified, thinking that this guy might crash this plane into a building or whatnot, and this guy had no intentions of the sort. On the contrary, he made it a point to fly over unpopulated areas. He was flying around, and the air traffic controller told him, well, why didn't you come back, you know? And he said, you know, for a white guy like me, nah. He knew the score. He knew the score. Yeah, for a white guy like me, it ain't gonna happen. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the source of so much bitterness of so many young guys in the United States, because they know. Women talk about this glass ceiling and nonsense like that. Blacks talk about implicit racism and nonsense like that. But the funny thing is that, see, in the name of bolstering these protected groups like women, like blacks, like the sexual minorities and the other ethnic minorities, in the name of bolstering those groups, in the name of quote-unquote equity, white guys get the shaft, hard-working guys get the shaft, of whatever ethnicity. There are Asians and Jews who don't get into the Ivy League school, even though they have the scores, even though they have the grades, even though they have all the extracurriculars. They don't get in because, you know, they're all tapped out with Asians. They're all tapped out with Jews. Yeah. But if you're like a black guy or a Latino, oh yeah, you know, red carpet treatment, even if you're an incompetent. And people realize this. And it eats away at the soul to know that no matter how hard you work, you're not going to get a place at the table. And whereas some other guy, just because he happens to be of the right ethnicity, is going to get the red carpet treatment. It's so fucking unfair. And that proves my point now, doesn't it? Americanism is dead. And it's a sad thing. But, you know, we shouldn't be bitter about it. No. Americanism is dead, and it's not coming back because the forces arrayed against it are too powerful, frankly. There are too many people who are getting too many benefits from the destruction of Americanism to want to dial it back. I'm talking specifically of all these grievance culture people, the ethnic minorities that want a bigger share of the pie, irrespective of the work that they put into it to get that piece of the pie. Yeah, they all want more. They all want more, and they are getting more. And so they have no incentive to change back the system to something that's truly fair, that's truly equitable. Because Americanism, you could say that it's an ideology. You can say that it's not true, that a lot of times, no matter how hard you work, you don't get what you want. Yeah, that's all good and fine. But the fact of the matter is, it gives at least the comfort of knowing that if you work hard, you can get something. You can get what you want. Working hard, being a decent person, following the rules, that's all the hallmarks of Americanism. And it was a good system. And it doesn't exist anymore, and it's never coming back. And to pretend otherwise is foolish. But not because of it should we, how can I put it? Just because it's not coming back doesn't mean that we shouldn't appreciate it. It was good while it lasted, but now it's gone. As always, please check out my other channels. On the CRP channel, link in the description below, I talk about women and how to handle women and you know, how to make your life better with women or without women, as the case may be. And on my Patreon channel, also a link in the description below, I put out much more controversial videos, the videos that would get me banned from YouTube. And I also do a weekly webinar, which is basically a call-in show where I talk with subscribers and we shoot the shit for 3 hours and have a really great time and cover some topics that are of interest. Yeah. So anyway, the links are in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.